And a huge welcome to everyone who's joining us this afternoon. My name is Karen Becker. I'm the head of the Moreton Bay campuses for UniSC, the campus at Petrie and at Caboolture. And no matter where you're joining us from, I'd like to welcome you all. I'll begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and the lands right across the footprint of the university. We recognise that they have a continuing connection to land, water and community. And given this afternoon, we're talking about leadership and change and challenge and managers leading through times of uncertainty, I'd like to think there's a lot we can learn from elders past, present and emerging in terms of the things that make, our country and our businesses and our livelihoods very sustainable, and that we're able to have the benefit of 60,000 years of tradition on the lands that we teach on. So our passion today for leadership, for change and for managing through these difficult times, as I said, I think we're all as leaders and managers facing a raft of challenges, and I know that you've probably turned up looking to hear a little about the artificial intelligence masterclass. So, that is just one example of the many challenges that we see facing businesses and leaders in today's world. So the program this afternoon is quite simple. We're going to have Jane talked about the MBA and the Graduate Certificate of Business Administration. They're the two main programs we're focusing on. We're very privileged to have not only our local Moreton Bay councillor, Darren Gribwade, but Darren is also a student of ours in the Graduate Certificate of Business Administration. So it's wonderful to have Darren here just to share his initial thoughts and insights about the program and how that's going. Jane will touch on a little bit about the program, but I guess, you'll be hearing about the fact that this is online, but it's also offered on campuses at Moreton Bay and at Sunshine Coast. But we were just talking about the fact that really UniSC is here to support our communities and our students, no matter how they choose to study. And that even if you don't choose to study by coming to a class on a campus, it's still, open to you to come to either Sunshine Coast or our Moreton Bay campus to use the facilities and to really feel a part of UniSC, because we're really all about bringing our students together in a range of ways to learn and to grow. So I hope that even if you're studying online, at some point you'll get a chance to step onto one of our wonderful campuses. So after that, we will jump into the masterclass, and Dr. Anthony Grace is with us to talk about business transformation, and AI is certainly just one of the hot topics, I think, on everyone's mind at present. So we look forward to hearing from Ant a little later. So I'll hand over to Jane in just a moment. As I said, Jane, Ant and Darren will all be speaking today. It's been a real privilege to get the chance to say hi, to welcome you all, and to hand over to the great team to take us forward. Just one point worth remembering: this is a webinar format, so if you have any questions along the way, we would welcome them. Can you please use the Q&A facility you'll see down the bottom of the screen rather than the chat for that, and then we'll be able to manage it as we go forward. So thank you, welcome, and I'll hand over to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Karen, for welcoming this webinar this afternoon. It's great to hear from you, and it's also great to hear about, some of our great campuses, such as the Moreton Bay campus. That's, pretty much brand new and state-of-the-art facilities and a beautiful campus. to go study it. So as introduced, my name's Dr. Jane Menzies. I'm the program coordinator for the MBA and the postgraduate programs here at UniSC. And I just wanted to tell you about some of our exciting opportunities that we have for our programs at the moment. So all of our postgraduate programs actually have Commonwealth supported places for them, which basically equates to a 40% discount, which is actually just sort of making these programs really attractive and good value to come and study it. So we have what we call our Graduate Certificate in Business Administration, and this is basically a pathway into our MBA program. And this is especially for students who might not have studied an undergraduate degree before. And so pretty much the point of this program is that you study 4 courses, and on successful completion of those 4 courses, you can then go and upgrade into an MBA. So it gives prospective students a taste of what university study is like, and then it also gives you, we get to see whether you're progressing well, and whether we think you will also make a great MBA student. So that's our graduate certificate. As I said, it has the CSP on it. So as I said, it's a pathway option. You can then also upgrade into what we call our graduate diploma. Some students do that, which is basically an 8 courses program. Or you could then upgrade into the Master of Business Administration, which is the pinnacle, and basically our 12 total courses. So what happens with our MBA is that we have 6 required courses, and you might have noticed that 2 of these courses would actually come from the graduate certificate as well. And so all of the courses that students might have studied as a part of the graduate certificate get credited towards the MBA as well. So yeah, we've got a range of different subjects. So things like innovation management, finance and accounting, strategy, governance, and then elective courses. So interestingly, we'll have Dr. Anthony Grace talk about business transformation through artificial intelligence. And that's actually currently one of the elective courses at the moment. We're currently putting some changes through. And so by 2026, that should actually be one of our core subjects as well, or required courses. So really, we try to keep up with what's going on in industry. So a little bit different to our graduate certificate. To enter directly into the MBA, you need to have an undergraduate degree beforehand, or from a recognised higher education institute or institution or equivalent. You need to have at least 2 years work experience. And when we're talking about work experience, we're meaning sort of managerial business experience. And we do that because we're trying to ensure a certain standard of student. And we're going to be talking to, as I said, or as mentioned before, we'd be talking to Councillor Darren Grimwade. So we'd have similar students to Darren, so people who have a reasonable amount of professional experience, business experience. And that's the whole point of MBA education, is that you're talking with your peers from different industries or different backgrounds and so on. Okay, so we also have the MBA Extended, and that's a longer program for about, and that's 16 credit points, and that's actually for students who don't have the work experience, but basically that type of a person would have an undergraduate degree and an appropriate level of English proficiency. Already talked about the graduate certificate, so I'll just keep on going. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background about what study is like at UniSC, and I'm sure Darren can attest to that once we speak to him. But we basically operate in an informal and collegial atmosphere. All of your, or most of your lecturers will be PhD trained, so that means that they've also been postgraduate students. So we consider our postgraduate students as our colleagues as well. So we're very collegial towards them. We use a session-based, and the sessions go for 6 weeks. So they're quite intense, but the good thing about them, it means that you get your study done quickly. During the session, we usually have 1 3-hour interactive workshop every week. So you end up having 6 workshops over the total of the 6 weeks. And they can be either done face-to-face or online. And as we've mentioned before, our classes happen at Sunshine Coast. We also have our online classes. They usually happen from about 6 to 9 o'clock. And we do also have about 5 different courses that are running at the Moreton Bay campus. So if you do actually wish to, come and study face-to-face at Moreton Bay, you can also do that too. We basically say that we have about 12 hours of time commitment per week. So that would include all the things that you might do. So that would include the classes of the 3 hours, any reading or any pre-videos that you might want or might need to watch, and your assessment tasks. So in terms of our assessment, we usually have 2 tasks in each course. So it's usually in week 4 and what we call week 7. So it's the week that's after we've finished our 6 weeks. And they're usually, we don't do exams. So they're things like assignments, reports, presentations, case studies. So, and we try to replicate what people might do in the workplace as well, or even allow students to work on things that they might be, facing in their workplace. As the last point says on this slide, we have 4 intakes per year. So we have our next intake, which is sort of towards the end of February, starting in March. We'll have one in April, also August and October. So 4 different sessions. So some of the other exciting things that we do, why might you want to come and study with us? We have AACSB accreditation. I think there's something like 6% of business schools around the world that have this accreditation, which is basically giving you, as a student, global recognition for your degree. You also have access to complimentary membership with the Institute of Managers and Leaders, which is an Australia-wide institute. You get access to things like mentoring, 360-degree feedbacks and professional development. So some other things that we've been very proud of over the last year is that we won #1 for teaching quality in Australia out of all universities. So I think that's pretty good. We're competing with University of Melbourne or University of Queensland. And we also won 2nd in Australia for teaching quality in the AFR BOSS Business School ranking, which again is a very good award. So other things that we do, we've got our international study tours, and Darren might talk about that. And we've also, we do our business networking breakfast events that we hold in conjunction with the IML and our 4556 chamber. So in our region, which is the Sunshine Coast of Moreton Bay, we very much have a lot of small to medium enterprises that are often very entrepreneurial in nature. So I guess studying with us gets you to interact with those types of people. Okay, so that's just sort of some housekeeping type of stuff. There's, different ways that you can apply. Go into the UniSC website, click apply, create an account, upload your documents and lodge and you're done. It's all pretty easy. I don't think it's too hard. Similarly, our international students would also, use a similar type of process. Okay, so before we move on to our webinar or our masterclass with Ant, I thought we could do a little bit of a interview with Darren, and just to sort of get his, perspective on, how he's been tracking at UniSC. So, so as mentioned, Darren's currently a counsellor at the City of Moreton Bay, and he's also a graduate certificate of business administration student. So, so Darren, you might want to give some of your background.
Yeah, look, thanks, Jane. Thanks for having me on here. It's really appreciated. I've been really happy with UniSC. I've obviously at the moment as a counsellor for the last 9 years, but I've got an extensive professional background in business as well. But I'd never been to university throughout that, extensive 20-year history of business. So for me, going into the graduate certificate of business administration was a little bit daunting and scary. I realised I had to start to learn how to learn, going to university, understanding what was expected. But look, it has been super easy. The process of signing up was easy. Jane had reached out to me pretty much straight away and guided me through some of the initial steps, and the actual process of becoming a student and undertaking the coursework has been really, really easy, whether it be online or attending campus as well. So yeah, it's been a great process.
Oh, excellent. And so why did you choose to study at UniSC over any other uni that you could have gone to?
Yeah, well, look, I'm a councillor at City of Moreton Bay. We've got a strategic partnership with UniSC. We've advocated and fought hard for an education facility in the City of Moreton Bay region, and UniSC is that. So it's offering great opportunities for people that live in our area or those that live on the Sunshine Coast as well. So I wanted to be part of it. It's got it has a really positive, vibrant feel to it. There's some really great feedback that we get at a council level from some of the students and some of the scholarships that the council supports here as well. So I just wanted to be part of it, and I'm so glad that since I've signed up and started the course that I did. Yeah.
Ah, excellent. And so what has been your best experience so far?
Well, you mentioned it before. I did take part. I'm on my third subject now, so 3 into 4 to do my graduate certificate, and then of course I'm going to go on to the MBA, and so I'm sort of 3 into 12 subjects to complete that. But it has been an interesting journey, and taking part in the international study tour over in Vietnam was just tremendous. Like-minded people, the people that we spent time with in a small group was amazing. We mixed some tourist aspects and some cultural aspects with some great learnings from visiting some really high class businesses and talking to CEOs, and in fact my assignment was actually on transformation in AI, and the emergence of that in Vietnam into Australia. So it's a talking point at the moment, obviously AI and that sort of technology. So it was a really worthwhile subject to do, and certainly something I've really treasured since I've been doing the course.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting and so great to learn about Vietnam as well, wasn't it? And
absolutely, yeah, notice the cultural differences and how they interact with Australia. It was great. Yeah.
And I think the other good thing about the study tours is that you actually develop a really strong bond with the other people that you go with. So, later on, professionally, you might, I don't know, interact with those individuals or...
Yeah, definitely. And on third class in, there's people that have crossed paths with the different courses. There's people in the course I'm doing at the moment in global marketing in a global environment that were in my first course in finance. So you do really get a good network of people that are in or a similar vein to yourself as professionals looking to get into the more senior business roles and executive leadership type roles as well. So those networks sort of grow, and a lot of the assignments around that have been super easy to do because they've allowed me to draw on my experience or even my current workplace, and to be able to do those assignments with subjects that I'm sort of aware of or I've been involved in, or they're an emerging part of our business on a day-to-day business. So it's been really good to be able to tie some of those sort of learnings into what we actually do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, and so what are your plans on the horizon for your future? Anything?
Yeah, well, look, I only started doing the study. I'm a counsellor now, and I'm sort of mid-40s, and I probably won't be a counsellor for everywhere. And I'm hoping that sometime in the future there'll be, potentially a career as a CEO, maybe even in local government or something, that I might find myself in. And a lot of the recruitment agencies and a lot of the people that do senior executive leadership recruitment really require those tertiary qualifications now, and particularly in the MBA and those more senior qualifications. So I thought, why not? I'm not doing it for any other reason besides lifelong learning for myself, I suppose, and to get the qualification. And I'm hoping in the future that if I step into one of those more senior operational roles into something after my life as a counsellor, then obviously that'll be a great bonus to have those tertiary qualifications under my belt.
Yeah. Aw, thank you, Darren. That sounds exciting. Oh, good for you. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming down today and, you know, talking with everyone. I really appreciate that. So, so thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Oh, good. Okay, so that sort of almost brings me to the end of what I was going to talk about today. So, you know, if you want to know more, you know, you could explore our Graduate Certificate of Business Administration online. You can explore the MBA online as well. All of that information is, you know, provided on the web. We also have a whole range of other programs, Master of International Business, Master of Management. We're also looking to introduce a Masters of Business Intelligence and Analytics, which we're hoping will come on board in semester 2 or session 6 this year. So again, some more exciting opportunities. If you have any questions, you know, you're more than welcome to ask them now, and you're more than welcome to book a time with me. You know, I'm happy to meet with you, you know, either via Zoom or via phone call, or even meet with you face-to-face on the Sunshine Coast campus as well. So, yeah, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I think I can already see one. Yep, okay, so one question was, can you provide the length of time for the study tour? So last year, and we'll probably keep it the same as this year, it was about 8 days. So we sort of go away on, you know, leave on the Saturday of one weekend and then come back the Sunday of the following weekend. So might even be a little bit longer than 8 days, but yeah, really just taking 1 week off work, and, you know, maybe you can get some study leave. And then another question in the chat was, I completed a graduate diploma in business at another institution 3 years ago, and can I get credit? Yes, you can. So basically for the MBA, you'd be able to get a total of 8 credits for that. And yeah, so it would really just mean that you come and do 4 more subjects with us, and you'll get your MBA. So can the study tour be offered as a single unit? Does that meaning without doing the whole program? Is that if that's it? It may be the case. You might have to email me because I might have to speak to the university, you know, kind of just make sure that we all cover the insurance questions and things like that. But yeah, if whoever asked that question wants to email me at another time, feel free to. Okay, so feel free to put any other questions. I am going to stay around, but now for the main event, we're going to, sorry, we do have one more question before we move on. What is the acceptance rate for MBAs? Pretty much if you meet our criteria, our entry requirements, pretty much everyone gets accepted into the program. So, you know, you have to have a certain level of English. If you don't, you need to have your undergraduate degree and also, you know, like a good amount of work experience as well. So, yeah, so pretty much most people get accepted as long as you meet those entry requirements. Okay, so just trying to. Okay, how does it work that we can incorporate your workplace or enterprise concepts? Okay, so another question that we had in the chat, how does it work with the assessments that can incorporate your workplace or any other enterprise? So I guess that's just like a negotiation with each lecturer. So it might be, I don't know, you're talking about strategy and the lecturer might say, this is the assessment, we're going to do it on this company. And you might say, oh, but, you know, I'd like to go and do it on my own workplace. So it would just be a bit of a negotiation. There'll be other types of assessments like professional development where you might go, oh, you know, I'm going to look at myself as, you know, the person who's going to develop themselves. But I don't know if you've had any experience of that, Darren, at all.
I was just about to say, I wouldn't mind answering that. I mean, it's a good process. Most of the assessments are based on things you can choose yourself. For example, when I did the finance and accounting, although the subject was around the different methodology of finance and accounting. The actual assessment itself was able to be done on any business you like. So it was sort of an opportunity that, you know, at that stage I was involved with a not-for-profit community bank, so I was able to use it as a bit of a project. And even now, you know, in the marketing in a global environment, you know, I've previously owned a local real estate in Moreton Bay where we did property management, and I'm actually doing the marketing element of that, of comparing that previous business that I owned with our 3 competitors in Moreton Bay. So you're using it with the course material of things that you're familiar with. Yeah, so I think, you know, even, you know, with concepts like that, it's a great opportunity to be able to utilize your current work environment. I did a small course outside of UniSC that wasn't one of the subjects, but it was associated with a accredited subject, and that was in regards to workforce planning.
Yes.
And I was able to use the City of Moreton Bay as our area for workforce planning and jobs and things like that. So you can certainly relate all the assessments back to your own expertise or your current knowledge in your current employment.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you, Darren. Yes, and one more question we have, is there any small business owners, students in the program, or are they all corporate? So yes, we actually have a mix of both. We have people who work in corporate organisations, councils, but then we also have small business owners as well. So they find our courses relevant. I don't know if we still have, we used to profile a lady called, was it Cheryl Picton? Maria might know. But basically, she ran her own small business and learnt all of her kind of, you know, like how to improve her business through all of the courses that we did here at UniSC. So yeah, both are pretty much, you know, our program's targeted or suited to both types of people. Okay, sorry, I was getting really excited about Anthony's class. So yeah, so now for the main event of our webinar today is our MBA mini class, which will be on business transformation through artificial intelligence. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to let Anthony, Dr. Grace, to share his PowerPoints, and I'll let him take over.
Thanks, Jane. You scheduled this webinar perfectly. It's been a really busy week for AI, and it's really been quite fascinating these last few days. So
yes,
it was only last week, I think Donald Trump was inaugurated on Monday. China then announced the launch of DeepSeek, which is an open source competitor, major competitor for OpenAI's ChatGPT. So it's really, a really interesting space at the moment, because DeepSeek is can basically produce very similar results to ChatGPT, but at a fraction of the cost of you know, the energy requirements needed to run their models. So yeah, it's really interesting. They announced that on the 20th of January, and I think it was the next day. You know, Donald Trump doesn't like to be outdone, so they announced the launch of Project Stargate. So that's a partnership with the United States federal government, OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. So 3 big players. So Operation Stargate is going to be building a lot of infrastructure in the US, and they're going to try and advance AI to levels that we've never seen before. So yeah, it's a fast-moving space. I think years ago I began as sort of an AI skeptic, so I was a bit skeptical of it all, and that needle slowly moving toward being an AI optimist. So yeah, I'm privileged to be teaching into the MBA. So the course that I'm taking at the start of this year is INF 701. looking at business transformation through artificial intelligence. And it's a fast-moving space, and my challenge is that my workshops normally take 3 hours, but I've only got 20 minutes tonight. So Jane, just you know, get my attention and stop me when time's run out. But this evening I wanted to cover a few things and probably just talk more about the history of AI and some of the ethical principles, but also just give you an overview of artificial intelligence, a bit of a background. We probably won't have time to cover everything. I know time is short, so if you do have any questions, you know, as we're going, please feel free to type them in the chat, and we'll endeavor to answer them at the end. And if we run out of time, we'll do our best to follow up with any questions you have. So yeah, as I said, it's a fascinating space. I'm very optimistic of AI. I think technology is wonderful. You know, we're using it tonight. You know, through Zoom, we're all connected through this virtual space, and the advancements are both fascinating and I guess rapid, in a sense that things are moving really quickly. So with DeepSeek's launch, it's actually owned by a very large Chinese hedge fund called High Flyer Quant, and they launched DeepSeek with one goal, and that was to solve the mystery of artificial general intelligence with curiosity. So backtracking a bit, artificial general intelligence is sort of in the middle, so that there's 3 layers of AI. AI begins with ANI, artificial narrow intelligence. The next level up is AGI. And then the final level, ASI, this is artificial superintelligence. This is the space of sci-fi and movies like The Terminator. And thankfully, I think we're a few centuries off that. So that's the good news. But and even with AGI, with DeepSeek and Operator, they're getting close. I don't think we're quite there yet. But essentially, AGI is all about trying to ask the question: is can artificial intelligence behave exactly like human beings in every way? So their ability to communicate, their ability to reason, their ability to think. It stems from the Alan Turing test. So the Turing test, I think this was in the 1950s. Alan Turing devised a test which was based on complex reasoning, and his goal was to basically test computers to see if they could convince them that they were a human. So it was about computers being indistinguishable from a human being. So that's where we're heading through. But DeepSeek is all about trying to achieve AGI with curiosity, and yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating space to watch it. You know, it's moving really quickly. Now, backtracking to ANI, so artificial narrow intelligence. When you talk about that, we're really talking about computations. So computers are largely computational in nature, and that's actually one thing they'll always be better than humans at. You know, they're very good at crunching numbers. You know, calculators are quicker than 99.9% of humans in working out complex, you know, math equations. So ANI is a very narrow programmed code that solves problems, basically. And we probably the best case study is in the game of chess. So if we go back to 1996, it was when IBM came up with an ANI program called Deep Blue, sorry. So Deep Blue was the name of their chess computer, and they famously matched it up against a Russian Grandmaster chess champion, Garry Kasparov. And in 1996, Kasparov actually won. So the human chess player beat Deep Blue. I think it was the score was 4-2, so it was quite close. A year later, they had a rematch, and Deep Blue actually defeated Garry Kasparov 3.5 to 2.5. So within that year, it advanced enough to beat one of the best chess players at the time. And so that was really the start of people noticing ANI and its strong computational ability, because chess is a game that has one victory condition. There's only 6 pieces, so there's rules to the game, and it's all about making the best move with the highest probability of resulting in a victory. Now, if we fast forward 20 years, the brains at Oxford, they came up with a program called AlphaZero. So this was when they were DeepMind. I think they were acquired by Google not long after that. But AlphaZero learned to play chess in 4 hours playing against itself. So it basically, with the parameters of saying, I know nothing of the game of chess, but I'm going to learn how to play chess, and it only took it 4 hours to master the game, to figure out, well, what move do I have to make with the highest probability of gaining victory? And so that basically was the start of the rapid advancement of ANI. Then DeepMind came up with AlphaGo. So there's another game called Go, which is a lot more complex than chess, and they defeated the Grand Master champion Lee Sedol. I think this was, so he's from South Korea. So they had a big matchup in I think this was around that time, 2016, 2017. And so yeah, there's a fascinating documentary on YouTube documenting how AlphaGo basically ended the career, and Lee Sedol actually retired a few years later. He, in a New York Times article, he said, AI is an entity that cannot be defeated. And he said, losing to AI in a sense meant my entire world was collapsing. I could no longer enjoy the game, so I retired. And the documentary is fascinating because it really focuses on the human element. So when a human is matched up with a computer, you start looking at the emotions of being victorious and the emotions of defeat. And yeah, I've always been fascinated by that interplay between computers and humans. And I think that's why I'm leaning more towards being an optimist, because AI is really a story of collaboration. It's here to stay. Computers are here to stay, and as robots advance, you know, I'm optimistic because it's still human-centric. It's all about how can we use tools to enable us to be more efficient at work, to do more things, to solve more problems. I mean, if you look in the medical space, I think if you just Google Halicin, Halicin, this was, I think, was the MIT AI team. They were looking at coming up with an antibiotic that no human could figure out. You know, it was a specific type of antibiotic that AI was able to figure out that this specific antibiotic was the solution to a problem that humans could probably never have solved. So yeah, in the medical space, I think there's a lot of potential, and that's probably what fuels my optimism. Now I'm going to run out of time, but oh yeah, so I wanted to show you this. This came up recently. This is, if you've ever seen these, they're so frustrating. This was actually, this was when I was signing up to DeepSeek. It's almost like they were testing me to see how human I am. And it took me a few minutes to figure out, you know, what the heck they were asking. But this is an example of complex reasoning that humans are good at, or so I thought. I chose the egg, and apparently that's correct. But human artificial intelligence, and I think OpenAI's Operator is a really cool tool. That's also new. So Operator can basically take control of your web browser and can actually make dinner reservations. If you put in a recipe, it can actually go through your account, log into your Woolworths account and order the specific ingredients you need and have it delivered to your door, so that it's there the next day, and you can give it access to your credit card so it can organize all the payments, make dinner reservations, book flight tickets. And then it's cool. It'll ping you if something like this comes up where you've got to tick that box that says I'm not a robot. It'll actually ping you on your phone and say, "Hey, I need your help to give me the go ahead." So yeah, it's cool to watch. It's really a little bit scary, but it's a cool tool. I wanted to introduce you to the Mechanical Turk, which is a fascinating. It's a true story, and we're now going back in time. I think this was the 18th century. Yeah, 1770. So this was a long time ago, and this is a true story. A Hungarian engineer, Wolfgang von Kempelen, created a mechanical marvel, and it was a deception, right? It was a trick. And what he did was he created this very expensive looking box with enough space for a very good chess player, a human chess player, to fit inside it and move the chess pieces, but it looked mechanical. And he toured the world, and it was a marvel because he deceived people to think that this machine was actually a very good chess player, and the arms would move mechanically. And apparently it played against Benjamin Franklin, Napoleon Bonaparte, and was able to defeat them in the game of chess, and people were mesmerized by this. Still debated whether it's true, but Napoleon Bonaparte actually tried to trick the machine, so he would make illegal moves, and then the machine actually responded by knocking the pieces away in anger. So little did everyone know it was actually just a con, it was a human being inside the machine. So while the machine was a deception, it serves as an early manifestation of our collective fascination with creating machines that can emulate human intellect and decision making. So as humans, we're fascinated with this, with computers that can emulate intelligence. And that's some of the things we discuss in our classes. What is intelligence? How do we define intelligence? And how do we define consciousness? Will AI ever be conscious or not? So, and does it have a right to self-determination? All these fascinating questions. I used X's Grok AI to create some images just before this webinar of Napoleon Bonaparte playing chess. Anyway, we're going to run out of time. So it's a fascinating space. There's many layers to AI. We definitely are just scratching the surface tonight, and even in our MBA course, we've only got 7 weeks, so we also barely scratched the surface. But I start off the course by really introducing the AI, the history of AI, the Turing test. We talk about ANI, AGI, ASI. We look at the AI ethics principles, transparency, accountability, privacy and security, bias mitigation. I like the fifth one, empowering humans. It's still humans at the center of the story. And then looking at how much control humans actually have over AI, which is still very, very high. Willow is Google's new quantum computing chip. I say new, it's not so new in the grand scheme of things, but quantum computing is an interesting space because it's basically a normal computer on steroids. Like the computational speed is phenomenal, and they're solving equations and problems that would have taken a normal computer, 200,000 years to solve. And so, yeah, it's a fascinating space, and humans will probably never ever be able to beat Willow at a game of chess. It's just it takes the trophy. But Willow and quantum computing has its application in the healthcare sector, which is yeah, I think just going to be wonderful for humanity. Oh, so this was interesting, the evolution of AI, looking at ChatGPT, GPT-4, and then we're looking at Operator. So these are the this graph shows the AGI scores. So out of 100%. So remember, I was telling you about the Turing test. This was assessing how good these models were at convincing us that they could reason like human beings. So you see ChatGPT-2 at the bottom there, barely scratching the surface. And this is sort of, is it the sigmoid curve or the Pareto distribution? The advancement is rapid, and Operator 3 is scoring in the 80th percentile on solving those complex reasoning problems that this was only recently in the last few months that we really are seeing an explosion of this. But remember, solving complex reasoning is just one facet of AGI. But anyway, it's an interesting space. Oh, so digital currencies is also something I'm introducing into this course. So at my undergraduate level, what I did, which was quite cool, because we focus on NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and more so in the world of art, looking at and sorry, Jane, I'm conscious of time, but I'll wrap it up now. I get them to create NFTs, and we actually create our own our Bitcoin, so we call it the DigDollar, and we get them trading crypto assets and digital currencies, and buying and selling and auctioning off their NFTs. It's pretty cool, and watching, how people generate and accumulate wealth through sort of a decentralized platform. But Bitcoin's the only real decentralized crypto asset. The other coins are centralized in nature. But yeah, it's an interesting space. I think there's going to be huge advancements in that world. And then finally, what we then try to do is look at how AI impacts business decision making. So there's really two pillars of in the business world when we're talking about enterprises. So the first is what the scholars in the space call enterprise system architecture. So this is basically the structural blueprint of organizations. So this outlines how people, processes, data, and technology all work together to interact to achieve business goals. AI is the other pillar, which is increased dramatically in value to enterprises, because it helps us become more efficient in our processes and achieve goals quicker. And it really is an AI race, because if we can use AI tools to be more efficient, we're going to be more competitive. So it gives us a huge competitive advantage, helps us to be more innovative, more efficient. And we've run out of time, but in the course, we look at how these two pillars then work together to impact the three functional areas of an enterprise, which is forecasting, knowledge management, and decision making. So yeah, it's an interesting space. A lot of it's protected by, corporations that protect their AI innovation with, patents and trade secrets. And so yeah, we barely scratch the surface again, but hopefully does give our students just a good basic foundation for AI and its uses and its applications in this world. So as a good academic, I conclude with a question: what exactly is AI? It's not a sector, it's not an industry, nor is it a single product or service. There's a lot of academics who view AI as an enabler of many industries and facets of human life. So it enables us and helps us to become better citizens and advance society. Where that ends up, we'll know, I guess. And you know, every day we're learning something new. So it really is a fascinating space. So thank you, Jane, for the time. I appreciate that. And I know I've talked too much, but hopefully given you all some food for thought. And if there were any questions, feel free to type them in. Or I know some of you might be enrolling, so it'll be good to meet you in person down the track. And yeah, I'll end there.
Thank you so much, Anne. That was really interesting, and even I want to come and do your class.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and even Shanae in the question and answer says sounds super fascinating, and thank you.
Yeah, cool.
So
Yeah,
there's
thank you. Thanks
any
so much.
other questions, or if not, we will end the webinar. Alrighty, so just wanted to say thank you to all of our presenters, to Darren and to Karen and to Ant as well. Okay, we do have one more question. What are the assessments like in the course? So, so as I said before, a lot of our assessments will be do a report on something. So for instance, in my class in Global Business Management, students would do a country report to analyse a country, and then they would also do a entry presentation, or market entry presentation. So yeah, lots of different types of assessments, case studies. Yeah, I don't know what you're planning on doing, Ant, for your subject.
Yeah, so case studies. I really like the idea of giving students at this postgraduate level the flexibility to use their own organization as the focus. I think if they can write assessment for their own organization and actually use that, develop their ideas, and generate some really cool ideas to then actually use and implement in their own organization, I think that works quite well. So I mean, they don't have to, of course, they can just use a generic company. But yeah, I think that it's nice to give students that flexibility to obviously still address the questions and meet the requirements for the report, but make the focus more meaningful for them, I guess, and more useful for them.
Yeah.
We do, I think there's a bit of teamwork as well in other courses.
Yes.
Communication, presentations, presenting in front of the class, which I know is daunting to some, but I think it's a great skill to learn, especially at the management level. Being a good communicator will serve you and your careers very well. So
yes, certainly.
Yeah.
We have another question. Can significant executive experience qualify people to move straight into the MBA, or would you need to do the graduate component first? Yes, you would need to do the graduate component first. It's not a bad thing. Most of our students actually, a lot of our students come in through that pathway. So it's completely normal. So you basically just do the graduate certificate, and it's pretty seamless as well. Once you get to your fourth subject, then you just apply for the MBA, and then pretty much the next session you go into it. So yeah, thank you, Kim, answered that question. And yeah. Okay, well, Yeah, just wanted to say thank you to everyone who attended the webinar and to all of our presenters. Oh, sorry, Sandra's still got another question. How long does it take to be approved for an MBA? It doesn't take too long. I think it's usually a couple of weeks. Is that correct, Maria? Yeah, usually. So I think if you were to apply now, you would definitely be enrolled for session 2, which is starting towards the end of February, early March. So.
And then students can they pick and choose when they study and what and the order
Yes.
they study? Yeah, great.
Yeah. So basically we offer our subjects, like kind of usually there's about 3 or 4 offered every session. Students do get given a sequence because, they've got to like make sure they cover off their required courses or their core courses. But they just sort of sequence through and sort of go, oh yeah, I might do your subject in session 2. In session 3, they might do, whatever's on offer there or whatever they're interested in and so on and so on. So. And yeah, you can speed up if you want, if you're, it depends if you're, be able to cope, if you're working full time as well. But some people do, you might have a break or you might be, on holidays. And so therefore you might want to do 2 subjects. Alrighty. Okay, so again, I'll end off the webinar. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you for all of our presenters. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me via email. Happy to answer any of your questions and hope you have a great evening.